Hello everybody, it's April 22nd, 2022. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin today, see what we did the rest of the week. But first up, like always, I'm going to take a look at what I said on Monday, right? So on Monday, I went over the previous scenario that I had discussed last Friday. And said that, in any case, I consider this a completed 5-wave move down, but Bitcoin did something kind of weird in between two scenarios I was tracking earlier in the week. It only went to 38.5. I was expecting 36.5 to 37.5 at a minimum, but no matter what, it was a 5-wave move down. So it's really just a discussion about what the short term brings, not necessarily what the long term brings. The long term, most likely, this is pointing us down to a lower low below 33K. I do think that is the most likely scenario. So I said if the red count was correct, we should see an expected top around 41.8 to 42.2. Or if the orange count is correct instead, then what we were seeing as part of an ABC up into the larger second wave box, which does go all the way up to 44.5. So we did go beyond 42.2. So I'm kind of leaning towards this scenario now, although it's still very messy and I'm not exactly sure where we are in it. But that's pretty much par for the course for corrective action. So this remains the same though. The only chance the bulls have to remove the immediate risk of low 30Ks would be to get above 48.2. I don't think there's a high probability of that, but that's what the bulls need to do. All right, so let's move that out of the way and take a look. So that was on the 18th, which was back here. Okay, so I said at that time, we were right in this area, right here, April 18th, right around the top of this. And I basically laid this out in a video afterwards for members where I said this looks like a micro 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 ideally would go to this little box here. And that brings us to that 41.8 to 42.2 area that I was discussing. And so it's kind of funny. You can see it did in fact go there and then had a rejection down. So that at the time, right around, what is that, Wednesday? Right around Wednesday, that was looking like the most likely scenario, is that was our C wave top in the red count, and we would proceed downwards from there. And then, of course, in typical Bitcoin fashion, it decided to push higher, bouncing before the support box that I had on here. So this is why I'm not exactly sure where we are within the count still. Again, it's mostly just sort of an academic discussion at this point. Lower low is still the most likely scenario no matter what. But what this has done is it's opened up a few possibilities. The first possibility is that this is still part of this where, let me just go over this again. We're looking at the red numbers here, okay? The red count is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? If that's the first wave, right, those 5 waves make up the first wave down, then we're looking at an expanded flat correction, A, B, C, before we go further down. So if we just continue dropping and we break down below 38.5, that's the one that wins. And so then I will draw my fib extension based upon that, where this is 1 and this is 2, like so. It changes a little bit where the next targets are, if that's the case. Alternately, let me get rid of these. Alternately, the orange count was 1, 2, all of this was an extended third, 4, and 5 instead of B is here, and that's the end of the first wave. And then we have second wave resistance anywhere in this red box here. So like I said, I'm kind of leaning towards that one, simply because it did push up higher than what was expected here for this 5 the fifth wave of this C wave, but there's all sorts of things that could have happened. This could be 1, 2, all of this was 3, 4, and 5. So that is still on the table too. I really can't say which is most high probability here. Again, doesn't really matter though. So the only thing we really need to know right now is that if we break 38.5, we're probably heading down for the next stop below. I'll tell you where that is in a second. Let's see if I just draw this fib extension again, assuming that's correct. The next stop below is likely 33.3 to 34.9, somewhere in this region right here between the 1.236 and the 1.0. Okay, so breaking 38.5 likely leads us to there as the next stop, and then eventually all the way down to about 28 to 29 potentially. Well, more like 28 and a half to 30. If we stay above 38.5, all of this action could be part of an A, B, C up a little bit higher, so we can still push a little higher into this red box before dropping. So that's a possibility as well. I would view that as an extension of the second wave, or not an extension, but just a continuation of the second wave. It hasn't finished yet if we don't drop below 38.5. So we can still certainly see this push up into this area here to finish off the second wave. So on the micro level, I don't view that as highly probable, because if that were the case, this would be A, this would be B, and we need a C wave up. B waves pretty much always form as a three-way move down. And right now we do have 3, although this first one is really extended. There's 1, 2, 3, or ABC rather, within B. So it really doesn't have much room. And this is where that 38.5 comes into play. Like, it really can't drop below that level. So it would need to bounce very soon. And if it does, if it maintains that this is a 3-wave move and bounces up, then that's fine. In the micro though, if this forms as a 5-wave move, which would likely look something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We would likely see it press down, like I said, into that next area. Whatever I said before, 30, 33 to 35-ish, something like that. We can see it press down there. That would be the next leg of the move, and then we'd get a bounce up, probably to retest this area, honestly, and then we'd get the continuation downwards. So again, breaking 38.5 and forming 5 waves along the way is confirmation of that. But staying above 38.5, it does have a chance to push up here into this larger area. And this box, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that. That was previous. All right. If this was going to be an ABC, let's see if we can tighten up at all. If we assume bottom is temporarily in, then we would be looking for the 618 to the 1236. Nope, that doesn't tighten it up. That just pretty much says the exact same area. So right there, the exact same area, if this is going to do an ABC up, it goes pretty much into that exact same red box I've been looking for anyway. So now I just want to figure out how to label these things, because like I said, this has gotten really messy. I think I just need to put on try to make some of these things smaller. All right, so 3, 4, 1. This needs to be dropped down. Let's do that. Okay. like that. All right, and then here's 1 and 2. So this would be 1 and 2 in the orange count. That would be a continuation of orange. And this 2, we could still be forming, like I said. So this could be ABC within 2. Let's put that in orange as well. It's not necessary for that to happen because this is also possible. A, B, and C finish there. So you see this is just an absolute mess what's happening right now. So I apologize for the confusion in this count. But honestly, there's just so many different variables happening right now. And I just want to try to label things correctly to try to make it as easy as possible. And then the alternate in the red, we would have this be 1, and that would have to be 2 there. So I'm going to turn that red, and then we'd have slightly different 3, 4, and 5. Let me make that red. Okay. So pretty much, I do think if we're in the orange, we probably need this final push up. So I'm going to leave that over there. It just would make it look a little bit better if all of this was A, this was B, and we make another move up for C. If we don't get that, I still can't be exactly sure, but again, it doesn't really change things all that much. We're basically looking at, just do this one more time, for the red count, eventually that projects us down 28.5 to 29.9. For the orange count, it would project us to, assuming we get another high here, it would project us down 27.8 to 29.3. Like, it's just slightly lower. If that one's correct, we're just going probably slightly a bit deeper than that. So that's really the only difference, and I don't know exactly which one we're in, but like I said, doesn't matter. Either way, we're probably going under 33K and probably under 30K, to be perfectly honest with you. Oops. Okay. Again, apologies for how convoluted this has become. It's not my fault. It is Bitcoin's fault. This is just very, very indecisive action, what's happening right now. But I do expect continuation downwards. And that's kind of the key. So key levels, 38.5 and 48.2. I really don't have anything beyond that. That's a key level. Okay, so bear's got to break 38.5, bull's got to break 48.2 to take away that lower low possibility. Or not even take it away, but just, delay it again. So if you've been following me for a while, you know how frustrating all of this action has been. But I have said over and over and over again, this is not a strong foundation to build a bull run from. As it broke up here and we were up here, we had way too much bullish sentiment going on for the action that we had previously. It just, the foundation wasn't there, like I said. So, I kept expecting, like, okay, maybe we push up here, but it's really not even a good scenario in that case. It doesn't bring us all that high. So I remained in the camp of, like, this really could turn into just a larger corrective action, and then we get the dump down, and that seems to be what's happening. Also, something that you all should note, when you have something that doesn't quite finish off the way it should, like I've been expecting since we struck this low, I was expecting a bounce and then a move lower to about 28K, 28 to 30K. I've been looking for that. Since we didn't ever hit it, and all of this action is junk, it is very likely that we come down and we finally hit that area, right? When you have an incomplete move like that, you often see that come back down. And we're seeing something similar play out in the stock market, where on the S&P 500, I was expecting it to go to about 4,000. It bounced and went a little higher than it should have, but because we never hit 4,000, I've always had it in the back of my mind that it very well may want to go down there to hit that area. So again, just, another thing to kind of keep in mind: when you've got targets that aren't quite reached, you really have to be careful. Okay, so it was possible this would have been a truncated bottom here or a truncated bottom here, but the action has not supported that, and so the probability of a lower low has continued to threaten the bullish, possibilities, basically. Okay, anyway, I hope that all made sense. I had a long week, so maybe it didn't. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer questions, but like I said, expect lower lows. That's pretty much the brunt of it. So I will talk to you all on Monday. We'll go through the weekend action and see what happened, see if we have any more information. Hit the subscribe button for me. Hit the like button, even though this was a convoluted video. Apologies for that. Subscribe and like anyway. Maybe I'll get better. We'll see. All right, guys. Have a good night.